Gentlemen, we're going to talk for a few minutes now about mentoring pastoral staff in homiletics. One of the side benefits of this Doctor of Ministry and expository preaching is that this course will equip you to mentor and to teach in the area of homiletics. And a great place to begin is with your own staff. I had the privilege of serving in multi-staff ministries in all of my pastoral ministry. And I discovered early on in ministry that serving with other guys in other staff positions, that many of the guys had aspirations to become a senior pastor one day. And I was not threatened by that or discouraged by that. But I was committed to then helping them reach their goals in ministry. And the way I could best do that was to help them in the area of homiletics, to give them opportunities to preach and to make certain those were guided opportunities. A lot of times we have good intentions and we want to help others with their preaching and with growing in ministry, but oftentimes it doesn't happen because we don't have a structure or a plan. The mentoring pastoral staff in homiletics, this manual that I've written, provides not only the resources to give the instruction, but a workable plan so that you can accomplish this with a member of your staff. Here's the assignment. Each student will mentor a member of his pastoral staff as the staff member prepares an expository message over a period of at least 2 weeks. That's probably not realistic. You're probably going to need at least 4 to 6 weeks to really get it done. As mentor, he will help select the passage, give advice in finding the sermon idea, help and coach in developing the outline, and encourage the writing of the manuscript. After the message is given, the mentor coach will evaluate the content, clarity, and delivery of the message. The entire process is to be journaled and then evaluated. So you will hand in a journal and then an evaluation of the process after you have gone through this exercise. Senior pastors have the opportunity to help staff pastors reach their ministry goals. Now, okay, I can hear you thinking, well, what if I'm the only guy and I'm just by myself? Or what if I am a staff pastor and not a senior pastor at this point? Well, this manual is designed to help people that have had a seminary or at least a Bible college training in homiletics. And so as a staff member or as a solo pastor, you could pick out an elder in your church that's interested in learning how to preach, or even another young man that wants to go to seminary one day. There will be someone that would be interested in improving in their ability to rightly divide the word of truth. So you have an opportunity. And then if you are a senior pastor of a multiple staff, then you're providing a model week in and week out for your staff members as you preach every week. And so this manual will provide and equip you with the fundamental principles of homiletics and a workable plan. Mentoring your staff in homiletics is divided into 3 parts: mentoring in sermon preparation, mentoring in sermon delivery, and mentoring in sermon evaluation. The first step then is to select a member of your staff who wishes to grow as a preacher, or someone who attends your church who wishes to grow as a preacher. What qualities should you look for in the individual that you'd like to mentor? First of all, you need somebody that's teachable, that's willing to take instruction and critique, that won't bristle or become angry with you. And some of that depends on how you give that critique and instruction. And helpful coaching advice for you is found in that third section of the manual, Mentoring in Sermon Evaluation. It will help you learn how to mentor and how to evaluate in such a way that the individual that you're mentoring can hear it. You'll also look for motivation, somebody that really wants to do it. Adult learning theory says that adults need to be motivated in the area where they're learning. And finally, potential. To see somebody that's got the raw material to really make a difference in the pulpit. Mentoring and sermon preparation, really learning to preach is learning a process, a method, a systematic approach that develops a text from the Bible into a sermon for the people. So mentoring your staff in homiletics means that you begin to honestly share with them your method, your approach to preaching. Now, this manual is very much based on Haddon Robinson's approach. So you may find that you will need to read Haddon's book if you haven't read it yet. And there'll be lots of references to Haddon's book in this manual. The following meeting outlines provide a suggested structure that you can use to adjust depending upon the learning goals and needs of your staff. So meeting number one, you first of all want to assess their needs. How much training have they had in homiletics? What classes have they taken? What books have they read? And where is their own felt need? As they honestly evaluate their own preaching, where is it that they feel that they need help? That will help you begin to get started. Then you can determine goals with that individual. Not only are we going to meet those needs, but then where would you like to be? What are some of your goals? What do you want to get better at? And then you can help them select a text. Now, selecting the text, if they're going to preach with you on a Sunday morning, you might want to include them in a sermon series. If you don't feel like they're ready for prime time in the pulpit, you might help them prepare a sermon for an adult Sunday school class and get them to come in as an adult teacher, and so that you would pick a text that would just be a stand-alone text. A text that's realistic in size. Most inexperienced preachers want to preach too much. So help them narrow them down to nothing longer than a paragraph, and perhaps even part of a paragraph if they're preaching epistolary literature, for example. Then give them assignment after you've selected the text. Then say, go away and see if you can develop an exegetical idea. Now, they need to have had some training to understand what an exegetical idea is. In the manual, there is instruction if folks aren't quite ready for that yet on how to find the idea that's in the text. These 3 meetings could be expanded to 6 or 8 meetings, depending on the experience of the person that you were mentoring. In the second meeting, then, from idea to outline, you agree upon the preaching schedule and you select the dates. Now, in the manual, it's talking about preaching 3 messages. You're only required to take them through 1 message. Discuss and refine the preliminary exegetical idea. Now, help them refine that idea. Make certain it accurately reflects what the text is saying, what the subject is, what it is about, and then the complements, what it is saying about that subject. Then help them come up with an exegetical outline of the passage. In my manual, I begin with the sermon format of a subject completed, one of the easier ones to begin with. And so you can show them then how the complements of the subject become the main points of the outline. Discuss the purpose of the passage. What did the author intend for his listeners? What was his purpose in writing it? And that will make certain that your application is consistent with what the text is saying. Then your next assignment for your next meeting is to tell the person you're mentoring, ask them to come up now with a homiletical idea and outline. Now, to get to that homiletical idea, we also include that theological step. So you may need another meeting to include a theological idea and outline. In your third meeting, from homiletical outline to sermon manuscript, you'll discuss that homiletical idea, help them refine it. You're aware that often inexperienced preachers will have a subject that is too broad, or maybe they'll have trying to substitute one of the complements for the subject. Help them refine that idea, and that the homiletical idea ought to have a clear correlation to their exegetical idea. Then discuss a homiletical outline, how that text is outlined so that it can be preached clearly and accurately, and then use the developmental questions then to expand that outline and develop the manuscript. And those developmental questions, do I understand it? Do I believe it? How do I apply it? Are discussed and explained there in the manual. Then you will, I can't read that. What does that say? Discuss illustrations? Sorry, it's too far away from me. You'll discuss illustrations. How will this be illustrated? And then discuss introductions and conclusions. Now again, these meetings are dependent upon somebody that has had some good homiletics even at the seminary level, but not yet feeling like they can preach. That's quite common for new graduates from seminary. You know, they've had homiletical training, but still feel a little hesitant, and as a result, tend to start as a member of the pastoral staff. But if they've had good training, then you can move through these areas quickly. But if there are issues, and they don't, with these, you can extend the meetings, and the manual will take you right to texts that will help you. Then the assignment is to write the manuscript and to preach the sermon. Now, after they have preached the sermon, you will get together for evaluation. It's very important before you even begin this process that you read through the manual. Now, all of the information about preparing homiletically or preparing to preach, you can kind of skim through a lot of those notes. But be very careful about reading carefully mentoring in sermon evaluation. That will really help prepare you to listen to the sermon and evaluate it clearly and fairly, and it will help you communicate that your evaluations to your individual, your staff member that you are mentoring. So mentoring and sermon delivery, from this point on, your mentoring relationship and the content of your meetings will depend entirely upon the strengths and weaknesses your staff member has demonstrated through preaching his sermon. And you can use the manual then to help you coach your staff member in the areas of vocal and visual delivery. Now, you remember in your first meeting, you talked about the needs where he wanted to improve. Now you can build on those and help him develop not only the content and clarity of his message, but then the delivery of that message as well. And it is, delivery is a learned skill. Some have more gift than others, but everyone can learn to present a clear and well-organized message. Then mentoring finally in sermon evaluation. As you evaluate the sermon with your pastoral staff member, you'll sit down together and watch it. It should have been filmed. I've taken that as a given. that the sermon has been recorded, and the two of you can watch it together, and you can stop and start the message in your evaluation. And as you are evaluating the message, you are schooling your pastoral staff member in how to be an evaluator. And so after you've gone through this process several times, your staff member knows how to better evaluate your messages. And now you've got somebody equipped and trained to help you improve as a communicator in your congregation. As your staff member listens to your messages, you can arrange to meet with them every week and say, okay, how'd it go? What did you think? Where was it good? Where can I improve? So you are developing a relationship with your staff member that will begin to move him from a less experienced colleague to someone who is an equal partner with you in ministry. So mentoring your staff in homiletics should accomplish two goals. One, you've had the opportunity to equip an aspiring senior pastor in the area that he really wants to grow, to help equip him as a strong communicator of the word. And secondly, you've developed a collegial relationship with a member of your staff so that the two of you working together in a partnership can sharpen each other as iron sharpens iron. We are on the canvas, up on Canvas, you can get a copy of this manual that I've written. And I pray that it will help you and equip you to mentor a member of your staff in homiletics.